Hi, it is Monday, May 20th, 2019, and this is the Pro and the Con Show, and I am your host, Michael James Ott. So Monday, May 20th, here coming to you live from Hudson, Wisconsin. I have an errand to run. I've got to go get my stepdaughter from an appointment that she's at here in a little bit, so I'm going to try to make this one of the shorter shows, but welcome to the Pro and Con Show nevertheless. And let me just, we go look at some of the different websites. So I've been looking at the Huffington Post, CNN, NPR, Fox News, and Breitbart. And just to, a lot of the story is still swirling around Mr. Trump and Democratic Congress trying to get documents from him to see or understand whether there is any wrongdoing there. Part of that is Mr. Trump has brought some of that upon himself because he refused to divest of his financials. And so one of the big problems, and regardless of what you think about Mr. Trump or any other politician, one of the big problems about being in the public eye, and especially representing or supposedly serving the people, and it should be, if you're in office or a government employee, you're supposed to be serving the people. That should be your number one priority. Well, when you're in one of those positions, then even the appearance of impropriety causes problems, okay? Because people lose trust in government. So the reason why the past presidents and other senior leaders that get elected to office separate themselves, they put their finances into blind trusts or whatever, is because they know that they are going to come under attack because of the appearance of impropriety. And that's just the way it is. It's a grown-up world, and Mr. Trump failed to do that, and so he's, some of this, he's suffering the consequences of it. But so let's quickly go through some of the headlines, and then I want to, right at the end, just talk about Breitbart, because I think there's an article, the lead story on Breitbart is exactly what I'm wanting us to understand and get beyond, because there is the cover story on Breitbart right now is I would say one of the most biased that I've seen so far over the last handful of days that I've been doing the show, and I'll point out why, and hopefully you'll see the problems there. But okay, so Huffington Post, left-leaning. Their main headline is White House gags McGahn. This is he's trying to, the Congress is trying to get some information regarding Russian influence on the election and so on. And then another title is Trump flips over Deutsche Bank bombshell. So there's a judge that has said that he's going to allow Congress to get access to those records. On CNN, and they're just reloading here, it's basically the same stories. So you've got judge orders Trump to hand over records to Congress, or the Trump accounting firm, I mean. And the White House is blocking Counsel Don McGahn's testimony. So you see, it's taken a step away from some of the insightful language, right, and the big graphics, the big dynamic stuff. So less bias in just the headlines and that kind of thing. Then we go to NPR, and slow to read that one. Okay, so this just says the White House says it's blocking McGahn from testifying to Congress. Okay, so Again, less bias. And then we go to Fox News. And here you go. So now Fox News is more right hand or conservative. And the title says change the record. So they're implying that someone's, changing history or, that kind of thing. And then they're also saying Obama appointed district court judge sides with House Oversight Dems. Okay, so notice the importance of specifying that there was an Obama appointed judge. Okay, and so one of the things, by the way, that supposedly all judges, regardless of their history, they are supposed to be impartial. They put on those robes and everything behind them. And so, with the appointment of Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, again, that's supposed to be, yes, he has certain views that on the Constitution, but for the most part, those views are independent of the politics. It's really just the fundamentals of what you think constitutional law means. And so, okay, he can make judgments based on whether he thinks the Constitution is intended to be more of a permanent structure or a more flexible, changeable structure, depending on, how how society has changed. This is kind of one of the big fundamentals on the Supreme Court. And that's fine. But if he's walking in there, if someone says in the future, well, Kavanaugh, a Trump appointed judge, well, he's not supposed to be making any decisions, nor is an Obama appointed judge supposed to be making any decisions because Trump or Obama or anyone else appointed them to office. The judges are supposed to be independent, and I think for the most part they are. Okay, so now let's talk about Breitbart. So I want to just spend the last 5 minutes talking about Breitbart. So there is an article here. It doesn't say who the author is, but when you go to the article, you find out there's a reporter named John Nolte. And so the big headline, Mayor Genius Saint Buttigieg will save us from Thomas Jefferson. Now, there's nothing inflammatory about that, is there? And then if you read the center one, it says, smears lies on Fox News, Chris Wallace silent as colleagues are trashed, also by John Nolte. So apparently tonight is John Nolte night on Breitbart. So then if you actually go to the article, Mr. Nolte, basically is hoping that you don't read it, that you just take the headlines and get your fill of that anger and emotion, and don't read it because he's so so again, why not just throw in the vulgarities of calling people names? So this is not journalism, folks. This is not who, what, where, and when. You don't say mean little mayor Pete Buttigieg desire to erase Thomas Jefferson from history. So now I just want to point out there's this thing in here. So right at the beginning of the lead here, so when asked on Friday if the Democrat Party's annual Jefferson-Jackson dinner should be renamed, because both Jefferson and Jackson were slaveholders, Buttigieg was unambiguous about wanting to erase our country's history, even as it pertains to the irreplaceable founding father Jefferson. So he gives some quotes in here, and what he's talking about is that the fundamental thing that his point is that racism is alive, and it's a serious problem, and we need to focus on this, that we can't put it behind us. So And then to whatever extent Jefferson and Jackson invoking their names would stop people from taking racism seriously, this is a problem. But he specifically says, we're not talking about blotting him out of the history books or deleting him from being one of the founding fathers, but naming something for someone confers a certain amount of honor. And the real reason, I think, is there's a lot of pressure on people because of the past and the present, and the fact that racism is still a very significant problem, and he wants to make sure people are aware of that he believes it's a major problem and thinks it should be. So then Kennedy, and so this guy Nolte picks Kennedy, a quote from Kennedy. So Kennedy's given a tribute to Jefferson back in 1962. I think the most extraordinary collection of talent of human knowledge that's ever been gathered together at the White House is here, with the exception of Thomas Jefferson, who dined alone. And then he talks about Jefferson, who was, had all these skills and stuff like that. So then he goes on to say Buttigieg attempted to walk back those comments about Jefferson that he made earlier. There's nothing, he's not walking it back. If you read it, he's all upset. So Nolte's all upset because he didn't specifically say, oh, you're not talking about just renaming Democrat Party things. No. He was asked, are you going to name or change or think we should change the names of Democrat Party events? That's the question. And the answer, he didn't specifically say only Democrat, but he was answering the question. Are you going to change Democrat Party? I'm going to change, And so this guy, Nolte, is going crazy, and he's hoping that you will too. Don't, okay? So right here, Nolte is saying Buttigieg is not talking about a small specific political event. He's talking in the most generalized terms. No, he's not. Again, Nolte is hoping that you don't even read his column. Really. Folks, come on. Pro and con, good and bad, for and against. Embrace the truth, the whole truth. Okay? And then you'll be fully informed, and you'll go forward with your neighbors and friends and colleagues in a better, more positive way, in every possible way. Better decisions, better policy, better friendship, everything. Better. Embrace the truth, okay? And don't let yourself fall into the trap of reading something by this fellow who's trying really hard to incite you into emotion so that you won't even read the words that he wrote. All right. Well, like I say, I need to try to keep today's show kind of short. So again, this is Monday, May 20th, and this is the Pro and Con Show. I'm your host, Michael James Ott. Thanks for watching. I hope you look at this one and previous shows and future ones. Come back and watch. I hope these comments stimulate some thought, and especially stimulate you to have some compassion and some understanding, not only for your own views, but for the views of your family, friends, and neighbors. Well, time to go. Have a great evening wherever you are. Bye for now.